This is the Sudanese Roundup News read by Ammar Saeed for Sniper TV. The joint force in Al Fashir shot down 20 drones launched by the army toward the city during the past 2 days without any losses. A press release conference in the joint force said that the forces had defended the rebels east side of Al Fashir and very heavy losses on their lives and equipments, adding that a large number of rebels forces had surrounded to join the forces in Al Fashir. The Central Bank of Sudan announced the start of the first phase of changing the banknotes of 1,500 pound in the bank operating in the country. The bank later on said in a press release that the currency phrase began with the opening accounts for individuals and who do not have bank accounts. The central bank pointed out that the currency exchange would be throughout the bank's accounts, which require the citizens to have a bank account, while that those who do not have bank accounts must open an account and deposit the amounts. Subject to the exchange, the central bank has directed banks to facilitate the procedures for opening accounts. The head council commander-in-chief of the Sudanese Army Force, First Lieutenant General Abdul Fattah al-Burhan, confirmed that the Army Force are fighting for the country without any guardianship or absence of any fights with political motivate or non-nationals. He also added later on, whoever believed that there are in parts in fighting for it, let him come and take over fights in its name. Al-Burhan later on announced during his visit yesterday to a number of units in Omdurman, accompanied by a number of the Council Assistant First Commander-in-Chief First Lieutenant General Yasser al-Ata and the leaders of the armed forces, that the army is to hand over to the Sudanese people a country free of militia and their associates. Deputy Head of the Council, Lieutenant General Malik Agar, valued the effort of employees of the Ministry of Energy and Oil and described the ministry as operating in accordance with the international standards. He came during his visit to the ministry today, Sunday, in Port Sudan, inspecting the new projects. Head of Council First Lieutenant General Abdul Fattah al-Burhan sent a letter of thanking and appreciation to the Russian President Putin, in which he stressed his interest in promoting and development relations to join the cooperation between the two countries. This came during his meeting in the office yesterday with the Russian ambassador to Sudan, Mr. Andrea. Al-Burhan expressed the Sudanese appreciating government and people for President Putin's positions and his unlimited support for Sudan. Al-Burhan later on referred to the Russian vote in the Security Council regarding Sudan reasons. He also described a role position that would contribute to strengthen and the consolidation relation between the two countries. Heads of Council Affairs Lieutenant General Abdul Fattah al-Burhan met yesterday with the European Union Horn to the African country Anita Whipper in the presence of the Ambassador Abdul Baghi, the Sudanese ambassadors to the Brussels and delegated to European Union. Ambassador Abdul Baghi said in a press statement conference with the meeting addressed to crisis in Sudan and committed by the militia against the citizens. He added that al-Burhan informed the ambassadors that Sudan will not accept the presence of the militia in the scenes, stressing the needs to evacuate citizens' homes in accordance with the provisions of Jeddah delegations. He also said that if the European Union wants to work to stop the war, it must use its mechanisms to influence the supporters of the militia, and that is the only way to end this war. The state of Colombia has submitted an official apology for the Sudanese government for the participation of the Colombian citizens with the rebel militia. Later on, the Colombian ambassador to Cairo, Javera, during her meeting with the Sudanese ambassador to Cairo, Mr. Imad Adawi, expressed the shock of her country people and government upon receiving news of the Colombian participation in the war in Sudan with the rebel forces. She also described the behavior as irresponsible for her country government respect for the people and the government of Sudan and non-interfaces in its internal affairs. For his part, Adawi welcomed the Colombian government's apology and said that the effort of the Sudanese and the Colombian government should be directed to prevent Colombian from participating with the rebels. The Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdul Ati arrived today at Port Sudan on an official visit to the country, during which he will discuss a number of files with the government. Foreign Minister Dr. Adil Youssef received a phone call from his Colombian counterpart, Mr. Luis, during which he offered his country apology and condition for the participation and some of its citizens with the militian ranks. The Colombian minister stressed the importance of cooperations between the two sides to ensure that these people return to the country of Colombia. For his part, Dr. Yusuf expressed his astonishment for the participations of the Colombian in the war, stressing the possibility that Sudan would consider cooperation with the Colombian side to discuss how to address the matter. In order for his part, Dr. Ali Yusuf expressed the astonishment at the participations of the Colombian in the war, stressing the possibility that Sudan would consider cooperation with the Colombian side to discuss how to address the matter in order to prevent the friendly relation between the two countries. The head of Council, First Lieutenant General Abdul Fattah al-Burhan, received a written message yesterday from the Egyptian President Abdul Fattah al-Sisi regarding the upgrading of the relation between the two countries. This came during his reception of the Egyptian Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Badr Abdul Ati in the presence of the Foreign Minister Ali Yusuf, who described the meeting as a fruit. He also discussed later on the problems that facing the Sudanese in Egypt, where the Egyptian minister he promised to solve them all. The military resource said that the army today regained the area of Wad al-Haddad and Faris south of Medani, next to the city of Hajj Abdullah, after huge battles that forced the militia to flee, leaving behind a number of dead soldiers, weapons, and ammunition. The President al-Burhan returned to the country yesterday evening after a one-day official visit to the Republic of South Sudan. He was received at Port Sudan Airport by a member of the Council, Lieutenant General Engineer Ibrahim, the Secretary General of the Council, Lieutenant General Muhammad Al-Ghali, and another members of the ministers. The Deputy Head of the Council, Lieutenant General Malik Aqar, met yesterday with Muhammad Adam Abdul Karim, the Director General of the Agriculture Bank in Sudan. The director said the meeting discussed agreements for financing the winter season and confirmed that the banks to finance the heaviest operation for this summer season. In a separate conference, Agar was briefing on the arrangement for starting the Sudanese certification exam scheduled to be held on the 28th of December. He also directed to secure the arrival of the exams and the students to all the senders. That was the news for Sniper TV, read by Ammar Said. Thank you.